Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 7, The Son of Drona Punished, Text 37. Swaprananya para pranai prapushnat ya grina kala tadvadas tasya hi shreyo dadoshat yat yada puman Swaprananyak para pranai prapushnat yagrina kala tadvadas tasya shreyo yadoshat yat yada puman. Ladies, pranayak para pranay prapushnat yagrina kala yadvatas tasya shreyo yadoshad yagrina puman swapranan. One's own life. Ya, one who. Para pranay, at the cost of others' lives. Prapushnati, maintains properly. Agrina, shameless. Kala, wretched. Tatvada, killing of him. Tasya, his. He, certainly. Shreya, well-being. Ya, by which. Doshat, by the fault. Yati, goes. Adaha, downwards. Puman, a person. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. A cruel and wretched person who maintains his existence at the cost of others' lives deserves to be killed for his own well-being. Otherwise he will go down by his own actions. Please repeat. A cruel and wretched person who maintains his existence at the cost of others' lives deserves to be killed for his own well-being. Otherwise he will go down by his own actions. Purport. A life for a life is a just punishment for a person who cruelly and shamelessly lives at the cost of another's life. Political morality is to punish a person by a death sentence in order to save a cruel person from going to hell. That a murderer is condemned to a death sentence by the state is good for the culprit, because in his next life he will not have to suffer for his act of murder. Such a death sentence for the murderer is the lowest possible punishment offered to him. And it is said in the Smriti Shastras that men who are punished by the king on the principle of a life for a life are purified of all their sins. So much so that they may be eligible for being promoted to the planets of heaven. According to Manu, the author of civic codes and religious principles, even the killer of an animal is to be considered a murderer, because animal food is never meant for the civilized man, whose prime duty is to prepare himself for going back to Godhead. He says that in the act of killing an animal, there is a regular conspiracy by the party of sinners, and all of them are liable to be punished as murderers, exactly like a party of conspirators who kill a human being combinedly. He who gives permission, he who kills the animal, who sells the slaughtered animal, he who cooks the animal, he who administers distribution of the food, and alas, who eats such cooked animal food are all murderers, and all of them are liable to be punished by the laws of nature. No one can create a living being, despite all advancement of material science, and therefore no one has the right to kill a living being by one's independent whims. For the animal eaters, the scriptures have sanctioned restricted animal sacrifices only, and such sanctions are there just to restrict the opening of slaughterhouses and not to encourage animal killing. A procedure under which animal sacrifices is allowed in the scriptures is good both for the animal sacrifice and the animal eaters. It is good for the animal in the sense that the sacrificed animal is at once promoted to the human form of life after being sacrificed at the altar, and the animal eater is saved from grosser types of sins, eating meat supplied by the organized slaughterhouses, which are ghastly places for breeding all kinds of material afflictions to society, country, and the people in general. The material world itself is a place always full of anxieties, and by encouraging animal slaughter, the whole atmosphere becomes polluted more and more by war, pestilence, famine, and many other wanted calamities. Swapranan yak para pranay prapashnat yagrina kala tadvadas tasya hi shreyo yadoshat yada puman. A cruel and wretched person who maintains his existence at the cost of others' lives deserves to be killed for his own well-being, otherwise he will go down by his own actions. Namo Vishnu Vidaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutaya Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswatinde Ve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesha Srinivadi Paskatyade Satarane. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Maya Dakshena Prakriti Suyate Sachacharam Hetuna Nena Kundiya Jagat Vipari Vartate. This material nature is working under my direction, producing all moving and non-moving beings, and by its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. Maybe I mixed up the verses there. Let's see. I guess I got it right. Okay. Krishna, in the previous verse, he puts a caveat that actually, although he's God, he's not responsible for what's going on. Although he's controlling everything, due to the free will of the living entities in the material world, they have to suffer or enjoy the results of their activities. And therefore Krishna says, Chamam tani karmani, ivandanti dhananjaya, udasinadvad asinam, asaktam teshu karmasu. That all this work cannot bind me. That is, he was talking about the creation and the annihilation of the material universes. All this work cannot bind me. I'm ever detached, seated as though neutral. In other words, although Krishna is controlling everything, but he's aloof. Just like the judge, someone is brought before him, and the judge gives him someone awards him a huge amount of money. And another person comes before the judge, and the judge condemns the man to death. But it's not due to the bias of the judge. He's simply following the law. And according to the activities of the persons who are being brought before him, he makes an appropriate judgment. So similarly, the Supreme Lord is in everyone's heart, and he's seated as though neutral, and therefore, samaham samrabhuteshu name dveshtosti na priyaha ye bhajanti tumam bhakta mayate teshu chapyam. I envy no one, nor am I attached to anyone. I am neutral to all. But whoever renders service unto me in devotion, he's my friend. I'm in him, and he's a friend to me. In other words, for those who are not Krishna conscious, not completely Krishna conscious also, or not Krishna conscious, then they have to suffer or enjoy according to how the material nature, the laws of material nature. Therefore, just like in a country, it's good to know, for example, which side of the road you're supposed to drive on. Here in Slovenia, you're supposed to keep to the right, but in England, you're supposed to keep to the left. Now, if you go to England and you keep to the right, and the police stop you, you can't say, well, I'm from Slovenia, we have different rules and regulations. You have to follow the rules and regulations for England when you're in England, otherwise you'll get into trouble. Similarly, while we're in the material world, it's good for us to find out what the laws of nature are so we don't get into trouble, any more trouble than we're already in. Therefore, there's a book called the Manu Samhita, which tells us what the laws of nature are. Now, of course, it's good to know the laws of the state because presently most countries don't follow the laws of Manu, and therefore, even you follow the laws of Manu don't tell you to keep to the right in Slovenia and left in England, so therefore it's good to know these details, especially if you have a car and you're traveling. On the other hand, the laws of Manu are modeled after reality, after the laws, for instance, as explained here, that we're eternal. Now, I don't think there's any law, any group of laws around the world which is modeled after the eternality of the soul. Otherwise, they wouldn't be killing animals. In other words, our body, everyone has a body that's changing, including the animals, but the soul within the body is not changing. And as Prabhupada points out here, that no one can create a living being, and therefore they have no right to destroy another living being. Someone did create these bodies, but it wasn't us. And if we destroy someone else's property, then according to the laws of nature, and generally in human society also, we'll be punished for destroying someone's property. So therefore the animals, they're also children of God. Probably gives the example that if a father has two sons, one of them is more intelligent and the other is less intelligent, if the more intelligent son goes to the father and tells the father, my dear father, this less intelligent son is useless, let me kill him. And if we can eat him also, therefore, utility is the principle. I heard that from Prabhupada, utility is the principle. So let's kill the younger son and eat him. Make good use of him, otherwise he's useless. So will the father, a normal father, say, that's a good idea? No, he'll say, well, why are you going to kill your younger brother? He said, I'm maintaining him. It's not your business what to do with him. He's my son. So similarly, Krishna has created 8,400,000 species of life so that they can gradually be elevated to the human form of life and then have the opportunity to become liberated back to the spiritual world. But to interfere with that process of gradual elevation of the soul from one body to another is considered sinful. And especially in this age, the most sinful thing in any age, is to kill the cow and the bull. Not only is sinful the fact that you're killing another living entity, but you're destroying your own possibilities of elevation. You can kill a rabbit. The rabbit's not so economically viable, unless you believe that the rabbit's foot is lucky or something. In America, they believe rabbits' feet are lucky. Do they believe that here? No. I don't know why a rabbit's foot is lucky. If the rabbit's foot was lucky, he wouldn't have been killed. He has 4 feet and he got killed, so how lucky could he be? In any case, the rabbit has no very much to do with the economics of human civilization. But the cow and the bull, they are the means by which we can plow the land, get fertilizer, get milk, and other things that are necessary for developing our higher consciousness, all without the necessity of creating an unlimited technological and industrial society that has destroyed the mentality of the people, has destroyed the air, the water, the food, has created disaster in the lives of people's spiritual advancement and even welfare, material living in a happy and peaceful environment. As Prabhupada said here, where are the pestilences come from? Where are the wars come from? Where do all these problems come from? The wars, it's all coming from ultimately killing the cow and the bull. And we can explain that, but briefly, if you kill the cow and the bull, you still have to get food. Everyone exists on food. To get food, you have to plow the land. To plow the land, you need something. If you don't have a cow and a bull, if you kill them and eat them, then the result is you have to get a tractor. But tractors don't grow on trees. Therefore, you have to manufacture them. So then you need factories. But for the factories, you need other factories. To get the material to build the factories, you need factories. And then you need transportation. You have to build factories for cars and trucks and boats. And you have to get factories to get the drilling material, to get all the raw materials. Then you need factories to manufacture not only tractors, but all kinds of harvesters and et cetera, et cetera. So you have a very complicated technological and industrial society becoming ever more complicated with more and more products like, as I always say, insecticides, herbicides, pesticides, and now they have people-cides. Get rid of the excess population, the useless eaters. So life becomes more and more complicated as things go on, all because we don't want to live simply. We want to make things complicated in the name of so-called advancement. But according to Krishna, this advancement, based upon killing other living entities, not only the cow and the bull, but ultimately you have to wind up killing everyone, practically speaking. You have to kill all the insects, you have to kill the animals that might eat the food, you have to kill the people if there's not enough food. So many problems, all in the name of so-called advancement. And eventually you have to have war because there's only material nature will not provide unlimitedly to the people who are exploiting her. Therefore you have to have war machines to go to other countries and steal their resources, to keep your industrialist society going on, technological society. Go to anyone who has any brains, you have to attract to your country so that they can manufacture everything that you need technologically and industrial, whether it be, anyhow, whatever it is, war machines or technology to press so that you fly drones and kill soldiers on the battlefield without even having to fight. So you don't feel so bad supposedly about killing people because you didn't kill it, it was the drone that killed him, that you happened to be flying. So society is, as Krishna says, Tanaham Dvishita Kuran, Samsareshu Naradamam, Shipramaya Jasramashuvam, Asrishveva Yonishu. Those who are envious and mischievous, who are the lowest among mankind, I perpetually cast into the lowest species of life. So, Krishna doesn't want human society to be disturbed. One who's bent on disturbing human society by killing others, whether it be animals or men, then Krishna has to put them in another species of life in their next lifetime or a future lifetime, so they don't create such a disturbance. They can disturb others, can become a lion and eat other living entities, but human society is special because it's an opportunity to make spiritual advancement. So if one is envious and mischievous, then Krishna will have to put them into another species of life. And Asurim Yona Asuram, Muda Janmani Mama Prapyaiva Kontya Tato Yantyava Mam Gitim. Then Asurim Yonim Apana, being placed in lowest species of life perpetually, one goes down to the lowest species and therefore never gets a chance for self-realization. So why? What is the problem? Why do people act like this? Why do people, as Krishna says, create these horrible, unbeneficial works which are meant to destroy the world? He said, Trividam narakasyedam dwaram nashitam atmanaha kama krodha tata lobhas tasmat etam trayam jajet. There are three gates leading to hell: lust, anger, and greed. Every sane man should give them up because they lead to the degradation of the self. So people are being forced to act according to the modes of nature. And the more we act in passion, the more we advance in ignorance. The more we advance in ignorance, then the lower and lower our consciousness becomes, and we act more and more sinfully. To the point we become like so-called human society doesn't become anything less than what the pygmies are in some countries, where they have grandfather celebrations, where they take the old grandfather and roll him off the roof of the house until he dies. Keep on rolling him off the roof so they can eat his brains because they think grandfather was very intelligent, very wise. If we eat his brains, we'll become wise too. So such a conception of life is available in the lower modes of ignorance. And that's available to one who follows the lust, anger, and greed. Eventually one's consciousness will be degraded. Therefore, in civilized society, according to the laws of Manu, then the king, the leaders of the society should know that everyone is an eternal soul. And everyone is getting exactly what they deserve according to the laws of nature. So knowing the laws of nature, that if someone kills another human being, then they have to be killed also. Otherwise, they'll have to suffer the reactions of killing that living entity, killing that other human being, and they'll have to go and meet Yamaraj in the hellish planets, and then be put into a lower species of life. So to save the unfortunate person who's a murderer from such a destiny, the king has to execute him. And therefore, to some degree, or to a large degree, he'll be absolved of his sinful activity of killing another living entity, of killing another human being. And that holds true, Prabhupada says, for killing cows. Or anyone, killing any living entity, even a mosquito, an ant, we step on it, we're going to get a reaction, but not to the same extent that we're going to get the reaction if we kill an animal like a cow or a bull, who's the basis of economic life in a civilized society. Now we've gone so far away from that, people don't care, they don't mind about killing animals, most people, cows or bulls. They can't see how it's connected with a civilized society because they become so uncivilized. They become so dull, they can't see that the eternality of the self, and therefore they're simply living according to lust, anger, and greed, and therefore becoming more and more degraded. And the name is so-called advancement, of course, and being very proud they give each other awards for how degraded they've become. They give rewards for anything that's... I won't even mention what they give rewards for. Well, you can imagine. Therefore, one should know what the laws of nature are. And the laws of nature are not some kind of fanatical religious idea of what reality is. It's just plain simple. It's simple that this body is changing, but the soul within the body is not changing. And anyone who can't understand that, they're simply an animal. And any higher knowledge beyond that, they won't be able to understand either. The fact that this sun is arising at an appointed time, the sun's setting at an appointed time, clearly indicates that there's intelligence behind the universe, controlling it. And that means that there's a person behind the universe. And if someone can't understand it, it means that they have no intelligence. They may be technologically advanced, they may be able to manipulate the material nature, but they have no idea what the purpose of material life, of human form of life is. Not to play around with the material nature, it's to get out of it. To get out of our misconception of being this body and the mind. Therefore, step by step, by understanding about the soul, understanding about the Supreme Soul who's guiding us, who's going to give us our next body according to the laws of nature, understanding the purpose of life is to meet the person who's created the whole thing. If one doesn't understand that, then one doesn't have very much intelligence. And one will continue going to McDonald's and other places thinking that this is bliss, that we've entered into a new era of happiness and bliss, that now we can eat anything, we can have sex with anyone, that we're actually advancing. Actually, we're advancing towards hell, but people don't know that because they're already in hell. Still, there has to be some sane people in society who can explain to those who left, who have some sanity, the fact that the material nature doesn't work by whim, it works under the direction of the Supreme Lord, who has the rules and regulations that if we follow, we become elevated, and if we deny or we're ignorant of, then we become degraded. That's up to us, either to take responsibility in the human form of life or to deny the fact that this material nature is not our playground to do whatever we want with. It is actually the property of the Supreme Lord that works under certain rules and regulations, which are all based upon personalism, affection, love, consideration. Actually the basic human values at least, and beyond that. And if we deny even the basic values of human life that human beings are supposed to have, and just act according to our whim, as Krishna says, then we'll have obtained neither peace nor happiness nor the supreme destination. And we think that all scriptures, all knowledge except for the concoctions that we have are reality, then we have another surprise in our next lifetime. It's not the way things are. There are scriptures that actually base themselves on scientific principles, and that's what this Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita are. They're scientific. The fact that the body's changing is not a speculation, it's an observable experience by everyone, eternally. And yet the soul, ourselves, that's the thing that we were aware of most, is ourselves. We can't admit that we're not changing, that we're in a changing world. Then what more can we say to such a person? There's nothing much you can say. Give them some prasadam. Maybe chant Hare Krišna or something, so that they can get enough intelligence to understand actually the most obvious thing to our existence. And then from there one can go on to learn something a little bit more sophisticated. Otherwise one will simply go down to the lower species of life gradually due to the influence of this age of Kali. So I'll stop there. Thank you. Any questions or comments? Sounds like a heavy philosophy, but it's just like if you go to school and they tell you when you see red, the stoplight, you should stop your car. You think, well, that's pretty heavy philosophy. Why are you restricting me? I want to be free. Red, green, yellow, they're all colors. I just want to do whatever I want whenever I see color. No, you should stop at the traffic light or else you'll endanger yourself and your passengers. You and your philosophy. I want to be free. You're restricting my freedom. You're a menace to society, a fanatic. Any questions? Yes.
Thank you, Maharaj, for your lecture. I was once in a situation and where we spotted a scorpion with really big sting. And then one devotee killed him, and then we were moralizing about this action. So I want to hear your opinion about this action.
Well, Prahlad Maharaj, in the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, he mentions to Lord Nrsimhadev in his prayers that no saintly person's unhappy to see either a scorpion or a snake killed. So Prabhupada mentions that one time there was a scorpion or a snake in the courtyard with Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, and he ordered his disciples to kill the snake. So Prabhupada was quite surprised. But later on, when he read that verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam, he realized that actually Prahlad Maharaj gives that instruction. Because they're envious. They'll attack and harm people without any cause. So they should be killed. Otherwise they may cause trouble. But scorpions with bigger stingers are less poisonous than the ones with little ones. So if you see a little one, either get out of there or kill it. Especially the little ones. They have something to prove, I guess. So they're even more dangerous. Yes.
Thank you. Well, I'm thinking about what you said previously about killing a bull and a cow. What about that is in nations that are dealing with agriculture? What about nations that cannot deal with agriculture, that they live in the high hills, let's say on Indians didn't have agriculture, they lived from wild animals. So
which Indians?
Indians in America.
No, that's not true.
That's
that's the white man's propaganda. That's all false.
So they did no. I'm just thinking.
Some of the Indians were hunters, and
yes.
some of them actually did agriculture. It wasn't.
Okay.
But that's. If you believe everything you read in the history books, you might as well read a lot of history books because they all contradict each other.
That just pop up in my mind. But let's say that they live in Himalaya and they cannot live from agriculture. That's just my thinking.
Well, most of the people who live in the Himalayas, they're saintly persons. They don't really eat very much. And anyhow, there are a class of people who are uncivilized, and they may kill animals, but we're supposed to be a little more civilized. That's why we're having a class. We didn't invite the pygmies from Africa to come to the class, because they wouldn't understand anything we're saying. But human beings who have intelligence, they should understand. They shouldn't become like pygmies. Yes.
I have one question. what about the veterinarians and people who work with animals, if they have to, how they say, put down animal, or if they see one animal really sick that has like some disease that it's incurable and they have to kill it?
They have to kill it. Why do they have to kill it?
Yeah, because it's sick, it's suffering. They send.
When you get sick, get sick, do the people, the doctors say, he looks like he's sick. I think I'll have to kill you.
Yeah, I don't know. Like mad cow disease or whatever.
Mad cow disease. Where mad cow disease? They should kill the person.
And stuff like that.
They should kill the person who created the mad. Do you know why cows get mad cow disease? Because they're fed other cows. Instead of being fed grass and proper food, they're fed other cows who have the disease. And therefore they get the disease. So the person who should be killed is the person who's feeding the cows, dead cows. In any case, even the cow who has mad cow disease, he's not going to spread it. He's just going to die from the mad cow disease because the human being fed him improper food. So he'll die, and the person who fed him the food should be killed so he doesn't feed the other cows the same nonsense food.
Thank you. I have one more question, if I can ask. There was one incident, a really sad story, when one guy was driving a car and he goes in a turn and all of a sudden there's a lady and he hits this lady and he kills her. And he was really sorry and sad what happened, and he go out and help the lady, but she was dead on the spot, and he also called the police and everything. And the police came and they said it's not his fault because lady decided, like the third time she's making the suicide, but this time she made it, it was job well done. So
how did the lady
she wanted to make suicide, so she
how did she do it?
She jumped in front of the car when...
She jumped where? In front of the car?
Yeah, like this. And so this guy, he feels really bad. He had to go to a psychiatrist and he feels really, really bad. He didn't want to kill no one. He's a good guy, sports guy.
Well, he didn't kill him. It was the car that killed him.
Yeah, whose fault is now? Will he have bad karma? And
people are in ignorance. They don't know what's going on. They think people die, but actually, the bodies die, but the soul goes on. In this particular case, the soul would probably take a ghost body. As far as, he feels guilty, well, nothing happens by accident. It was arranged that he was in the car that killed that lady because of what he's done in the past. And he feels bad about it because he's in ignorance. He doesn't understand, the soul doesn't die, and that somehow or another, by his sinful activities, he was the instrument for killing this lady. But if he understood things properly, then he'd become a devotee and chant Hare Krišna, so we wouldn't have to go through these horrible things. Not only he's aware of the fact that he killed this lady, but he doesn't care about killing the cow, the bull, other living entities. He's completely has no conscience for that. He doesn't care. He's killing the insects. He's stomping on the street. He's supporting governments which are killing massive amount of people, dropping bombs on people. But he's oblivious because he's in ignorance.
Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you very much. Grandharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande.